everybody, let's discuss how to do a ball out. A ball out is a backdrop and then you drop your legs and then rotate forward to do a front flip and land on your feet. So when you're trying to learn this, make sure your athletes can already do needles. Make sure they're strong enough to be able to bounce the way I am here, where I have my legs actually out and away from the center of my mass, but I'm still strong enough to not let them just drop to the trampoline the way you see here. What you want is the athlete to understand is that the center of the body is going to be landing. You're going to then be extending the legs outwards at the right time to make sure then you create rotation. You've already seen our cat twist video, and this is no different. The idea is that at the start, your legs are more closer towards your center mass. As you get to the bottom of the bed, then you're extending outwards a little bit more. And then as you come up out of the bed, you extend fully, and this creates the rotation on the ball out. It's no different than the cat twist. It is just a different rotation, a different axis, so they name it something different. But as long as your athletes can understand that it is all about moving the legs at the exact right time to be able to get a bit of height, but also a lot of rotation. A lot of people think that they kind of sit up into it and use their arms. No, it's not the arms. It is all about the legs. You're driving those legs down. And as you see, when we start getting into more complex ball outs with half twists, full twists, things like that, you're going to see that we actually reach our arms up to get a nice set. It is the legs that kick down at the right time to make sure that we get that rotation. Now, it's very important to understand that you can't just get a full height on a needle and rotate maximally at the same time. As an athlete, you're going to have to kind of pick somewhere in the middle. This is the idea that you're going to be able to push with the needle, as you see here, but then instead of fully pushing all the way up, you're going to then extend the legs outwards a little bit to be able to create that rotation. Again, it's all about that timing of when exactly those legs come out. And unfortunately, I can't tell you exactly when that is. You need to play with it a little bit. But a lot of people struggle with the ball out because they don't let their legs drop in front of them. So make sure that the legs are driving towards the trampoline in front of you and you're off balance a little bit to make sure you get that rotation. If you're struggling, you seem to be doing a great backdrop, but you can't rotate, most likely it's because you're not letting your legs drop to give you that speed. And as you can see, the step-by-step is pretty self-explanatory as the other videos, but you'll notice I'm stretching up and allowing my body to be straight. Athletes should be able to do this before they start thinking about rotating. Yes, it's not always perfect, and obviously I've done it for a long time, so it makes it look a little bit easier than it might be at the start. But you really want your athletes to be able to understand that it is all about driving those heels down at the right time, which makes the flip really, really simple. If the flip is hard, it is because you're staying in a piked position and not allowing the legs to drop in front of you. Some coaches don't really care too much if you get a set with the arms up first, the way you see here. But I'm pretty picky about that because, again, as you've seen with the other videos, there is a consistent sort of thought behind it. It is that set first, then you snap into the flip. Just like you would set for a front tuck, a double front tuck, a back flip, a set for a back full, anything, it's always the same order of operations. So as an athlete, I want to be able to think, okay, this front flip is not really much different than one from my feet, from one from my back, one from my stomach. The setup might be slightly different. I'm leveraging the weight of my body in a different way, but I'm still using roughly the same mechanics. So I really am putting a lot of emphasis on the idea of stretching up into it because the arms, again, are not the thing to create rotation. It is really the legs. The arms are there for when you want to start twisting, which we'll get into another video. But you need to make sure that the arms are getting stretched up, and then from there, it really actually just feels like a normal front tuck for the athlete. And again, from a neurological perspective, we want to be able to create as many different connections with similar patterns rather than thinking every skill is something different. Makes it a lot easier for the athlete to understand, especially at the younger levels, and makes it a lot easier for them to be able to apply this stuff to other skills. Now, this is where it gets a little bit complicated. Flipping around and just dropping the legs and going for a ride is easy. But how do you stay in the middle? This is a really tricky part that a lot of people don't really think about too much, but it's actually a little simpler than you think, but at the same time, not so much. If you've seen the video we already did earlier in this playlist where we did traveling backdrops forward and backwards, please check that out again and watch it one more time. That's the technique we're using here before we actually kick for the flip. So what I'm actually doing is landing a little bit what we'll call butt heavy, hip heavy, waist heavy, pelvis heavy, whatever you want to call that. but there's more weight being driven down by my pelvis first, and then I actually kaboom with my shoulders after. This allows me to actually stay in the same spot. You do this just enough, then you're going to be able to stay in the same spot, and if anything, travel backwards the way I'm doing it. But what you have to really understand is that you're not landing completely flat. That will just then distribute your weight forward, making me fall into the pit. But what I'm actually doing here is landing on my butt first a little bit, not too much, just on the lower back. And then you can see here that I hit my back after. There's that little whiplash, just a little one, but that allows me to actually rotate but travel backwards at the same time. So you can see that I'm landing clearly under rotated right here. My upper back is not touched. But as I sink into the bed, now my back hits here, and you can see that's a mini kaboom. And then that's going to make me be able to stay in the same spot, if not be able to travel backwards. I'm timing that kaboom, and then with the leg drive that we discussed earlier, that's going to make me rotate and stay in the same spot. But don't just start with the flip. Practice playing around with traveling back and forth and being able to move and get those little mini kabooms going before you worry about the flip. But that would be mechanically how you do it. So guys, have fun, play with it.